Okay guys, an update is in order. So you'll notice the gearbox is now up and down. I loosened up, took these two bolts out, stuck it parallel, re-snugged that bolt just for now, and I gained, so this was probably right here to the edge, and I got all that, and I still have plenty of clearance to put my finger in it. That's what she said. Anyways, so what happened to lead up to this? I talked to a guy named Brody over at Idle Hands Fabrication, and he came over and gave me some pointers on this. I was kind of at a moment feeling stuck, not knowing what I wanted to do, and I think it's important to share this stuff with you guys. Whoever else gets overwhelmed and needs to figure out how to do something, there are ways to do it. What Brody had said is, let's move this gearbox forward more, maybe an inch. So now that it's straight up and down, I don't know if you can see this, but I have a bunch of room there now where before I did not. However, that new hole that I drilled, it's going to interfere with that. So I'm going to end up having to really change things around right there. But small price to pay, especially with this being how much I got just by that. My fear here, when I was cycling this, the track bar was hitting the upper diff, and what I don't want to happen is I don't want to spend the amount of money that I am on this project and then end up with an inferior product that only has, you know, a couple inches of travel. It's just not, it's not what I want, and I would be wasting a lot of money, and I'm in my head on that, fearful that I'm gonna waste a bunch of money and waste a bunch of time. So where we're at right now, oh, he gave me some ideas for the back too, but we're gonna get to those later, probably another episode. I have a track bar on it right now, and right there in the middle hole is gonna be about even with this. Now the high steer kit, oh boy, doesn't work. Doesn't work with my rims. I put the rotor on this one just to see if I could clear it. It's barely clearing. I might be able to pivot it. Doesn't work. So I'm gonna end up cutting these right here, and I'm gonna put both joints inside of this and stack them. When I get there, I'll show you guys. As far as everything else goes, he said the placement of my arms is pretty good. He said everything else is pretty styling, but so that means I'm gonna have to cut this body mount off. I'm gonna have to cut this body mount off right here, and I'm gonna redo this. So I'll come up and do some other stuff and then re-grab it, but gearbox needs to come far enough forward that I can clear wherever this track bar has to end up. That's gonna be my factor, and then I'm gonna make room for the gearbox. So I didn't know where to start on this, guys. I didn't know what the first bar is that I need to put in. So I went with lowers first because my WFO had the brackets for it. So I said, okay, great, let's get that in there. Then I clearanced it. I wanted it as close to the front of the pan as possible. That moves the axle forward but gives me the most amount of travel and doesn't go too far forward. If I was full hydro steer, I'd probably have the axle right about where the track bar is, and if I did that, I'd be all the way forward. I'd have a 0 degree climb angle. That'd be sick, but I'm not full hydro. So that brings me back here. So then what I did is I got a rough placement for the upper control arm, and I'll show you that bracket later if I haven't already. This is just spot welded in. This probably isn't going to work all the way. I'm just trying to see where that ends up, because when I start articulating it like this, it might poke the pan, it might poke the frame. I don't know. Haven't got there yet. And then I started working on the steering, which is where I think I fucked up. I need to get the track bar in first and then the steering. So doing this again in the future, this WFO plate, I don't think I was far enough forward, even though according to this hump right here, I was exactly where I needed to be, and I was almost as far forward as I could have been over here. See how I got 3/4 of an inch right there? Maybe I should have gone all the way, but I didn't know. So that's where I screwed up. So if I do this in the future, definitely lowers first, definitely upper, then track bar, then figure out steering. Now as far as track bar, I know that it needs to be as long as the other one. This bracket is not going to work. I'm going to use some CAD and redesign this so that it comes out further. I believe I can get it within 1 inch to 1.5 inches, maybe 2 inches of the drag link, and hopefully that's enough for bump steer, but we'll find out. So I think that brings you pretty much up to where I am. This has been sitting here for several weeks, hasn't made much progress. I got overwhelmed on it, had other things going on, so now I'm back at it. I'm going to spend the entire weekend on it, and hopefully I can get the front mocked up. I'm going to do some cycling right now, figure this thing out, and then I'm going to take you guys along on the journey. I'm not gonna bring you guys in and give you like an incredible amount of detail. There are so many guys out there that know far more than I do. This is going to be just kind of almost a parts thing, and like just an honest look at this. I watched so many guys do this swap, and they're all like, oh yeah, I did this, this, and this, and it was so easy. I want you guys to know that it's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to look at your truck and be like, well, fuck, it's completely cut up, and I want to go wheeling and I can't. So no big deal. There's people you can call in your area. You can ask questions. If you find an awesome dude like Brody, you can have somebody come out to your project and give you a suggestion, pointer, and as a fallback if anything happens, I'm gonna just be like, hey dude, I need help, I need this thing put into mock-up, and he'll, no problem, I'll do it. But I kind of want to do it on my own just for the pride and see where we go. We got fake control arms in. Sorry, these are schedule 40, so they're probably going to stay there. I think that's what I'm going to run as far as they go. Just kidding. Alright, so I've been cycling this thing a little bit. I'm not there yet. I had to cut the track bar off. I'm going to come forward with the track bar, but I'm going to build a mount that comes out like this. So it's going to come out several inches because I need more clearance. Right now I got a 7-inch discrepancy here. So I'm going to lower that down to a 3 or 4 inch discrepancy. So this is going to come out right around here somewhere and move over. I'm going to do a custom bracket doing the CAD. You can see here's the original where it was. I've already moved it over 1 inch, and now we're going to try and get more out of it. What I have right now is the cardboard aided design, and I've made a C-notch in this in order to basically hug the frame. The axle is far enough back that when the pipe goes through, it's going to just miss the front bolt by, I don't know yet. We'll find that one out later. I got a smooch of clearance here, and I think I'm going to have to end up notching this side here, but I'm going to wait until it's all done and see what I got to modify. I'm not going to fully enclose it like this. I'm going to somewhere in the middle have a bracket that comes across, I think. Not really sure yet. So what we're going to do is take this CAD drawing over to the plasma table. Here's the plasma table. I'm going to try and clear out a spot on this bad boy and bang a couple of these out on quarter plate. Once that's in, it's going to be pretty even with the drag link on the other side, and then I'm going to adjust this bracket here down and out in order to capture and be able to get that other side. I believe this is somewhere around ride height right now, which is great because that drops it down significantly. I may or may not have to do some notching in here. I'm thinking I might have to do this. Might have to use this bad boy. Drop this into the frame. That will give me the clearance that I need here. So we'll see. But I might even have to bring it up. Take the whole frame up a little bit. What's really limiting me is the motor mount, the oil filter over here, because I got the oil filter, and when I start poking up really far, that bracket that's in here right there is going to poke into it. The motor mount, if I need to, right now I don't need to, but I can put a plate across, have it come up, and it'll grab here, and it'll be more than suffice. But we're not quite there yet. I want to get a drag link in this thing while it's at ride height, and then start tweaking it and see what we got to do. But that's where I'm at right now. Sorry I haven't filmed a lot, but like I said, first time. I'm not trying to give you guys instructions on how to do this. I'm gonna call this entertainment purposes, and those of you that have done this before are probably less than entertained right now. My bad. Right now at ride height, the lower control arms are 2.4 degrees down slope, and the upper is 1.9 degrees upslope. That's all going to change when I take these non-highway rated plumbing fittings out and put real bars in there and get them welded and have the bolts actually fit proper. But right now that's what it's looking like, so I'm going to live with that. I did throw the wheels on. These high steers are going to work. I am, however, going to clearance them just a little bit around the rim. Not a big fan of that, so depends on where they are, depends if the rubs or not. If I ever decide to go with a different offset, which I don't think I can, then that could be a problem. But I digress. So yeah, there we are, guys. I'll film me making the brackets, I think. That's about all I'm gonna do tonight. I'll just whip those brackets real quick. And then this side over here is, I mean, there's nothing here. That's done. Not worried about that. The other side is the complicated side, but I actually feel like I'm getting somewhere. I'm way less overwhelmed by this right now. Once I start cycling it, then I'll get rewhelmed, if that's the word. And yeah, that's what we got. What happens when you get too close to the plasma cutter. Got a little toasty there. Back to it. The worst part about this, guys, I just replaced this fucking glove. It's brand new white. Now I gotta cannibalize another set so I can keep my little finger protected here. Truth be told, I'm more pissed off about ruining a $15 pair of gloves. It sucks. Anybody that is looking for a really good glove, these things have prevented me from a lot of injuries. Cutlass Diamond. These are a medium size. I usually wear a large, but they fit right to the webbing of the fingers. They're really nice. Another really nice glove is these Maxi Flex. These things are amazing for when you're not using metal. These are actually cut resistant, and I have a scar right there on my finger from using a flap disc, and I was humming along having a good time, and it went boop, and it went through a welding glove and hit my finger and blew the top of the skin off. The bone was looking at me, we were talking, got a little lightheaded, a little woozy, but moved on with life. And I bumped with one of these discs, which are even more aggressive. I bumped the edge of the glove a couple days ago, and it just tore the glove, and my finger was fine. But I mean, it went through a welding glove previously. So definitely a little tech tip. These are, in my opinion, the best. Andrew turned me on to these because he does metal framing all day, and yeah, expensive, totally worth it. Test fit came up positive for needing alterations. So we're going to square up the little ear on this. So guys, this is how it looks without a plasma cutter. Without a plasma table, this is how they're going to come out. You have to do some massaging, but you can make two identical brackets without a plasma table. So now I'm going to line these back up. I'm going to go over to the drill press. I'm going to punch a hole in this bad girl and see if we can't get a bracket made here. These are Matco step bits. There's lots of other brands of them, and I believe they're all made by mostly the same company. I paid more because they say Matco on them. Real cool. But this step bit makes it so you don't have to pilot drill. These things blast through stuff when you're using a regular hand drill. They just make it so nice. Other thing I really appreciate about them is that unlike these will catch and tear the piece out of your hand. Those don't do that. There it is, guys. Perfect 5/8 hole. Ready for the thing. To do the thing. With the other thing. So far, guys, that's going to be my new track bar. Don't have a ton of clearance there, but don't forget, I'm going forward with this. A mere couple hours of cycling and inspecting. My little bracket here is amazing. This arm is not. So we need to get the straight arm. I actually just ordered it. I ordered it from Yoda Masters because they have lifetime warranty on it, even though it's the same arm as Trail Gear. Once I get this new arm in, I'll get final placement of the gearbox. This here, you can see it gets a little bit close to the front diff cover. I'm going to modify this a little bit. I modified the upper third member and dropped it down a touch. I don't have to worry about this motor mount at all. In the future, if I want to get more, I can cut the frame and I can do lots of crazy things to it, and I can move this out, and who knows, I might. Right now, I don't think I need to. Right now, I think I'm going to be more than happy with this thing flexing and doing what it's doing, so that I don't need to reinvent the wheel up here and cut this and move this all the way up or any kind of craziness like that. So over here we have the track bar, and I got it so that it follows the pitman arm, but before I weld this in, I need to make sure of where this is going to fully end up. So I'm kind of putting that on hold right now. We've cycled it up and down. Got some pictures that I'll throw in there when we were twisting things out. I have no idea how much flex we're gonna have until I get the ORIs on it, but I need to get this steering and linkage thing buttoned up before I try and put the ORIs in it, because I do not want to waste any time trying to get, you know, a 1/16 of an inch out of this or a 1/4 inch out of here if it all has to move one way or the other. We clear the oil pan, not by a ton, but we're gonna end up having on the other side, gonna have to cut the truss. Cut the truss out right here, and then we're gonna angle it in. That way, if we go too far, we don't punch out the oil pan, because that would be bad. So for right now, what I'm gonna do, I need to finish up my steering here. So this is something I can do. I'm gonna take that steering arm out, go on the inside of the cab, and I'm gonna unbolt that whole thing, pull that out, separate it from the column, and start getting ready to install the other deal. Also, I don't think I showed this yet. I don't know. If I did, great. If I didn't, too bad. This assembly here is not going to be enough for the 1 tons. The bore is too small inside of this. It doesn't feed the 1 tons properly. My new one is 2 inches shorter, and a lot of times people are using the T100 booster and then a Chevy 1 ton master, but I mean, it barely fits, and you're all the way over here. Check out what I figured out, guys. One of Brody's suggestions was to use a Tesla iBoost. The problem with the Tesla iBoost, the master cylinder comes all the way out to here with its plastic, and it slopes downhill, so all the fluid would want to go to the cover because mine sits flat. Well, lo and behold, a little tinkering around the internet came up with a full setup here. This is out of a 2018 Honda Accord. It's got the remote reservoir. It says Honda right on it. So the Honda Accord is going to be put to the task of stopping 1 tons. We'll see how that goes, because this thing's got a tiny stroke on it. I like this thing. I might use this as my new pointer. Look at the stroke. Anyways, watched a bunch of videos, the black, the yellow, and the red wire, what I need out of here. The position sensor, I believe I have to tie some of that together in this. But they left me a pigtail, I paid $175 for this whole thing through a junkyard. When you call and you ask for the brake, they're going to sell you just the booster part. Then you have to ask for the master cylinder with the remote reservoir as well. So this is $125. This was $50. So we got the $175, and that's what we're going to be working with. So I'm pretty excited about that whole setup. I'm really hoping it works. Like, really hoping it works. But if it doesn't, we'll have to figure something else out. I saw Jerry Rig Everything use the Tesla one to stop his Hummer, and I mean, that thing, Hummer's a lot heavier than this is, so I'm hopeful for it. But yeah, let's get the steering out of this pig and then go from there. Oh, one other thing while I'm rambling, and you guys have probably already tuned off. Whenever you're disconnecting steering, you always want to wrap something around the steering wheel to stop it from turning. I do have a steering lock in this, but this is just habit of what I do. If this steering wheel decides to spin, the clock spring inside of it's going to go ptoing, and then you're going to be screwed. Horn won't work, airbag won't work, warning messages on the dash. That's the exact reason I didn't want to go with Hydra steer in this truck, is because I don't want those functions to not work. This truck also has cruise control. Not that I'll ever be able to use it being on 40s. This thing's probably gonna struggle to get out of its own way, but it has it, and I don't want to break anything. So yeah, that's where we're at right now, guys. Alright guys, so this is underneath the dash. This is something that you may or may not have. This is the Millennial anti-theft device. Other than that, we have what you should have. You should have, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bolts down here. I'm going to get all those out and disconnect the coupler up there. And you can kind of see it right there. That's the coupler right there. So we're going to disconnect that, and then all of this thingy majiggy right here. So let's get that out. So we're getting a little deeper, guys. I don't know what you're seeing and not seeing, but essentially what we got right now is I have to disconnect the brake booster, which I'm gonna have to do anyways. So let's get that out. Throw the pin right there. Slip this through. Now I'm gonna go pull the booster out. Let's try something a little different here. Trying to save as much of this gasket as I can, guys. The kit doesn't come with a new one, so put it back. Alright, so next step wants me to pound the chingaderas into it. The picture here, which looks to me like this is what they want. Looks like you can see the little map marks in there. They should say install it from the outside to the in, but they don't say that. So there's a couple different ways to do this. I'm going to throw it in the vise and then sandwich it together. Alright guys, so that's pressed in the way that they wanted it according to the picture. So let's go toss this in the truck. I would say that the fit less than perfect. The instructions do say to paint this. However, I'm going to do all my painting later. Because I want to paint once it's done, not every step of the way. Stay tuned to see if that bites me in the ass. In. So what I did, guys, I pulled this booster back. This is going to be coming out of the car, as we showed you as we showed you earlier. I'm just not quite ready to pull it out yet. I was trying to get extra room to get that other bolt because the instructions show these bolts are still there and they somehow got that one out. It's a pain in the ass. Also, you can't really see it, but I have a gap right here and I can see daylight. So what I'm going to do is when I paint it, I'm going to do some seam sealer on the other side and then paint it all up. That way it looks good and it lasts. I'll spray this while it's in the vehicle, not too worried about that. So next step, we do this just like that. Okay guys, so just did a whole bunch of stuff and the GoPro wasn't recording, so let's catch you up. This is a slip joint. The purpose of this joint being there is so that if you're ever in an accident, this will crush together rather than shoving this up into your face hole. So the instructions want us to do is it wants us to, see these are keyed, it wants us to put it in there and then run the set screw in here. It'll leave a mark on this bar and then you move on. Mine did not leave a mark on it. So I have it so that that's just contact in the bar. I'm going to back it off a tiny smooch. Boop. Tons of clearance now. It'll never use all of that, but I like to be a little better than not better. If that's a little better than not better. Okay. Now we have a mark on it. Barely. Some pretty good steel. Tiny little mark. We're going to go over to the drill press, put a 3/8 hole into it, and then come back. What a 3/8? It can't be fucking right. So guys, it's saying a 3/8 hole. I drilled a 5/16 hole. And it fits in there absolutely perfect. That Allen head isn't moving. I don't know why they wanted it bigger, but I like nice tight tolerances, so that's what we did. Oh, it's beautiful. I don't know if you guys can see that. That's some precision, and that's what you get. Guys, this was, I don't know, 20 bucks. I use these things all the time, and it allows me to put stuff like this in and not have to worry about anything except for fitting, because it doesn't fit. Well guys, I have to chase these brand new holes because apparently they didn't. Guys, before I started this, I was thinking trail gear, what a big name in the industry. It's got to be good stuff. A lot of people use it for their projects like this and so on and so forth. Well, the more I deal with the company and the more I deal with their products, it's kind of garbage. None of these holes go through. So the reason I'm calling this stuff trash, guys, is the company itself. I bought all this stuff and about 3 days later, my order hadn't even shipped yet. 2 days later, everything went on sale. And I called in and I said, hey guys, I just noticed you had a big site-wide sale. You know, is there anything I can do about this? He said, all sales are final. I said, okay. What happens if I return everything and rebuy it? And it was a 20% restocking fee. Well, it was a 20% site-wide sale. So nothing they could do. A lot of companies give you a 30-day guarantee. This company is not one of them. On top of that, the products, now that I have them, I'm getting a lot of comments to say, hey, good luck with that gearbox. Mine started leaking after, you know, after 6 months of use and so on and so forth. The fit and finish, these stupid joints they don't even thread them all the way. Like, you can't do what it says. So what happens if somebody buys this kit, goes to put it together, and they don't have thread restoration kits or fucking tap and dies? And it's stupid. I don't like this stuff at all. I can't stand it when companies do this. So, yeah. Thanks for tuning in for my rant. But anything that you can get from a different company other than Trail Gear, I would say go for it. The other thing is the instructions. So let's go look at the instructions. So just for fun, guys, here we are. Let's back up. So we had the no instructions on that one. Just install it. That's all you got to do. Looking at all the pictures, we figured out how it should be. This is saying that you need to tighten the long screw to make a mark on the shaft. Well, I tried that. Didn't work. Come to find out, those holes aren't tapped through. We just took care of that. So, drill a 3/8 hole. Why a 3/8? Too big. Once the hole is installed, once the hole is drilled, install the coupler using red Loctite and a set screw. Okay, great. Loosen the screw, allow for adjustment. I don't have that screw. Slide the steering shaft through the hole. Well, how am I supposed to do that with the coupler on it? That doesn't work. You're not going to shove the entire thing through the coupler. So, that's what I'm saying. Some of this, like, I don't know who wrote these instructions, but so what we're going to do is we're going to slide this through, and then we're going to do this. But on the other side of it, we don't know exactly where we're going to be yet, because I still have to cut for the gearbox, and we're going to have certain lengths. That's only on there because I needed it there to turn the box. But yeah, so I'm going to still have to pull this out one time. So this is going to slide in. I still have to pull this whole thing out one time just to make sure that I can get this the right length, and then we have to drill and tap and do all that stuff there too. So just making sure it all works, and then next thing you'll see is me sliding this guy through. And I don't like how this has flat spots on it and the grommet is just round, so that's going to allow air to get through there all the time. Doesn't sound like it'd be a big deal, but when you're in dust all the time, all that dust is going to come through there. It's going to get all over the brake switches, everything else that's in there, and eventually cause things to fail. Not a big fan. Not to mention this thing's going to get covered in dust too, which it's sealed bearings, but you don't need to get dirt on something that doesn't need dirt. Yeah. Alright guys, new day. Just took the control arm out. It's no longer there. I just squared everything up as far as the lower control arms go. Everything's perfect on this axle, side to side, front to back. Exactly 35 inches right now from this knuckle to the face of the WFO. So I took out that arm, leaving this one in place here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple of bolts. I'm going to stick the bolt through here and through there, and then I'm going to spot weld it to my table. The reason being, there's lots of ways you can do this. You can start calculating out things. The way that I did it with these hose clamps, all I give a shit about is the total, side to side. That's all I need. So if I just simply put this into a jig, I can constantly afterwards make fine-tune adjustment, put it back on it. I can bang out both sides, don't have to sit here with a tape measure. It's going to be so much easier to just jig it and get jiggy with it. It's going to be so much easier to just get jiggy with it. Ba-na-na-na-na-na. Just kidding. So yeah, that's what we're going to do right now. Jigged. Jiggle what? Jiggle what? Okay. Now let's get it going. So there we go, guys. We got a 1/2 inch on both sides. The reveal, the jam nuts are on there, collars are on there. Now I can measure collar to collar and get my exact measurement, and I can duplicate it on both of them. The other thing this does is stops them from being twisted inside of the tube. When I set it on here, everything's going to sit square. So this should work pretty well. Pretty well. For those of you that don't know, you never, ever, ever, ever use brake cleaner to prep a piece. When you start welding it, it creates a gas that is extremely bad for you. So, totally bad idea. Acetone, rubbing alcohol, all things that you can use. I use rubbing alcohol because I don't really like acetone. Rubbing alcohol is kind of more mild. I know you don't weld these with the joints in them. I'm just going to spot weld it, pull it out, and that's all I need to do. So I'm not final welding any of this now. That's going to be TIG welded, I think. I think I'm going to TIG weld it. Although my TIG skills fail in comparison to my MIG skills, which are still failing in comparison. There it is, we got one arm. So they're 35 inches from center to center. I was a little concerned that that was going to be a little too small, but I've talked to a couple people now and nobody's concerned about them. The length right now, and we're not at full ride height, is going to give us an angle of 4.5 degrees. At ride height, it was sitting at about 2.2. Anything under 10 is considered acceptable. Anything under 5 in my book is going to be like nice, real nice. So now let's take out the other side. Let's throw it in the jig and get jiggy with it. Na 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 na. If you guys aren't singing that by the time this video is over, well, nobody actually watches the videos anyway, so. Now we're gonna get the third link out. No PVC special. Go jig that up. Third link is in. I screwed up. I did the top link out of the same bar I did the bottom link, which is quarter wall, which is a little excessive for what we need. I think it's going to be fine though. So I got plenty of clearance there. I do need to move it over a little, so if I need to change things, I can take this out and I can use the correct bar, and that'll give me about a 1/8 inch more clearance here if need be. But I don't know if it'll be. So yeah, that's pretty much what we got going on. The both lower links are in, and so guys, I was just looking around here. I have screwed up something. These collars don't blend right into the thing. See how this is the same height going across here? These are not. So I think I have some heims for the rear upper control. I don't know what I did here. I need to figure this out, because that one up there is too small. That one's too small. That one's too small. This side's good, and that one's good. So now I have to figure out what's going on here and make a correction. But these have to be taken apart. These have to be drilled. I think I mentioned that earlier, that I forgot to plug weld like this here, so that I can get a good burn into it. So yeah, I gotta address that. I'm gonna have to look at these things and try and figure out what the heck I did. I did not know that these would be different, but these are probably for the thinner wall, which means all the other ones I have are probably thicker. Anyways, something to look at when you're doing these. Never knew about that. So that's where we're at now, guys. Let's give you an outer view. I'm gonna end the video here, guys. We'll pick up next time. We're gonna move the axle back. We're gonna recenter it. We're gonna get everything where it needs to be. And then yeah, hopefully get the geometry in the front of this thing correct. I want that to be the next video, is just, this is all good, we're moving on, yay, and then we'll start on the back. But for now, let's call it a day. So thanks for watching Penguin's Garage, guys. Don't forget to like and subscribe. A little thumbs up thing there always helps out. The past few videos I've been getting a little more thumbs up, which is great, so keep them coming. We'll catch you on the next one.